All right, another day, another Celtics loss, and yes, that sounds extremely negative, but they've been playing like shit recently. So what do you want me to say? Uh, this final score not at all indicative of what this game was. The Celtics were just outclassed for 90 to 95% of this game. And the only reason they were really in it was Kemba Walker was phenomenal, which is a good sign because he hadn't been playing all that well recently since he came back from the flu. So it's a good sign to see him going if you're going to take a positive from this. The final score, again, looks pretty good, but in reality, I mean, they were down 27. They cut it to 6. They went down 20 plus again. Just a really frustrating performance from a team that's been losing games to. Listen, I said this before. I'm okay with losing the teams that you're better in than or who is around you, and the Bucks are better than the Celtics right now. So that's not the biggest problem I have. It's more that you lost to the Wizards, you lost to the Pistons the other night. Those games drive me crazy. And then tonight, when it's a prove-it game, on the heels of losing to a shitty team like the Pistons, when you say, okay, you guys get up, get ready to play, the Celtics come out flat again. I mean, just completely flat, get their doors blown off to begin with, give up a billion points at the half. And I know this Bucks team is a very proficient offensive team, and they have obviously the best weapon in basketball in Giannis right now. But no excuse for how poor the Celtics defense was. And I see a lot of people on Twitter saying, oh, look at these shooting percentage for these other teams. The Celtics are getting so unlucky. No. Celtics aren't getting unlucky. When a team, even bad teams, are consistently shooting higher percentages than their average on a night in, night out basis, it's time to look internally and say, we're not playing good defense. We're not doing what we need to be doing. We're not rotating well enough. You saw tonight, they showed on TNT early in the game, the Bucks were, I think, started 7 of 8 from 3. And if you look at the shots, they were either wide open, the Celtics were late on a closeout, or not sticking their hands up on a 3. I mean, that's middle school basketball stuff. I'm talking very fast right now because I'm upset. But I'm saying that's middle school basketball stuff. Put your hands up on a closeout on a 3. Run guys up the three-point line. That's the way the NBA is today. You need to contest those threes. And the reason the Bucks got out to such a big lead is because what they do is Giannis drives, you build a wall, he kicks. They have good three-point shooters on the Bucks. And if you don't close out on those threes, you don't run them off the line, you don't stick your hands up, they're going to knock them down. So that's the way they're built. And the Celtics didn't take that into account at all. And fortunately, they were able to make it a game in the fourth quarter, and it started to look a little bit competitive because it was boring as hell for most of it. I mean, it was just the Bucks dangling their wangs in the Celtics' faces most of the game. I also have a problem with, and I tweeted this too, the end of the game, Celtics, you're down 2 scores. You have a big block turnover on Giannis with about 40 seconds left, give or take. And instead of choosing to use a timeout, of which you had 2 left, you wanted Kemba to run a break. He kicked out the Smart, who missed a 3 badly. I'd much prefer there, down 2 scores, remember, to call a timeout, set up a play for either 3 or a quick 2. Then you're preserving time and you're conceivably getting a better shot. I know Smart was open, but I just don't like that play. If it's one timeout, okay, I get it. Take it on a fast break. But I'm not a fan of Brad Stevens' late game timeout usage. And this is the big thing I'm going to talk about for a second. That has nothing to do with the specifics of this game necessarily, but all year long, especially during this crap period right now that's going on with the Celtics, I find that they have part of their slow starts is explained by this too. They just don't seem motivated on a night in, night out basis, and that's really frustrating. Their compete levels is crappy, and part of the hallmark of Brad Stevens early in his Celtics tenure was the team competed their ass off every night in and night out, even if they were severely undermanned or undermatched. That doesn't seem to be the case. It was a little bit earlier this season, but recently it hasn't been at all. And a lot of that, listen, the players are responsible for that, obviously, but a lot of that's on the coach. I mean, part of your biggest job as a coach is to motivate your team. And Brad Stevens is a very even-keeled guy, and in some instances that works. But when your team's playing like dog crap and you're losing to teams like the Wizards without Bradley Beal and you're losing to the Pistons, you need to have a coach or an assistant coach step up and kick the team in the ass and yell at them and say, hey, come on, guys. What the fuck? Let's get this going. And I just don't see Brad Stevens as that type of guy. And unless he undergoes a significant personality change, I could see more of these crappy lulls for the Celtics. And you don't want your position in the East to be slipping away. The 2 seed is where you want to be. You don't want to face the Bucks until you have to face the Bucks late as possible, obviously, in these conference finals if you're the 2 seed. And right now they're not. The Heat have overtaken them, and it's partially because they've lost these games to bad teams, and that's just they've been playing lazy in those games. So, I think the problem with the Celtics coaching staff is it's all yes men to Brad Stevens. You don't have an ex-player on that staff. Carol Lawson is the closest thing they have to it, and this is her first year as a coach of any level. So it's too big of an expectation to her to be that person. I'd love for the team to bring in like Kendrick Perkins as an assistant coach, Tony Allen, someone with Celtics ties, someone who was an ex-player relatively recently who can kick the team's ass and say, "Hey guys, what the fuck? Let's play ball here. You're way better than some of these teams, and you're losing to them." So that's frustrating to me, and I think you saw a little bit of that tonight, that the team was just not ready to go. Again, score not indicative of how poorly they played for most of it. Kemba Walker was fantastic tonight. I thought Marcus Smart was tremendous as well. I could have used a little bit more out of Jason Tatum. Hurt not having Jaylen Brown, certainly. Gordon Hayward sucked. He was terrible tonight. And I'll talk about this in a later video or something like that, but he's the best person to trade if you're the Celtics. The relationship with him and Stevens, I think, is still irking some guys on the team. And his position is just redundant with Tatum and Brown. He holds back the team from what you need to be doing. It's not a good fit. It's never been a good fit. And I think he needs to be traded. Whether you can find a taker for him, I don't know. But I think he can flourish more in another team, and the team could certainly use to clear that spot out and maybe bring in a big or a better bench situation, because their bench is god awful, and help out there scoring wise. So we'll see what goes on. Frustrating loss again. This has been a tough stretch for the Celtics. We'll see if they can pick it up, but they do need to do some soul searching right now. So that is it. I will talk to you next game. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like. Is that a thing? Do that. I don't know. All right. Talk to you later.